Hello to everybody watching the video. I just want to first state this video is coming out way later than I wanted it to. Well, the plan is going to be basically I want to go ahead and do these weekly vlogs of my medical school experience over here at UNR. This video I'm going to be talking about MedFIT, which occurred about 2 weeks ago. So I'm going to try to do my best to express the feelings and emotions and just other relatable stuff, I guess, during that week as best as I can. I'm sorry if I miss some elements, but I'm gonna do the best I can to kind of outline to you what it's like during orientation week or, the first 2 weeks beforehand, how we prepare for medical school, that kind of thing. So I hope you guys enjoy it.
Oh, that's intense. Ooh, yeah.
So week one, just kind of explain to it first. I started, I think it was like August 4th, August 5th, something like that. Just a personal backstory of mine. I went to Europe over the summer. Since I technically can't get a gap year, long story short, I'm actually going to be doing military medicine. I don't know if anybody's really heard of the Health Profession Scholarship Program. That's what I'm participating in. But anyways, went to Europe. I think I had about 3 or 4 weeks to move in over to Reno, but thankfully I found a roommate. Everything worked itself out fine. So I quickly moved over into my house. I think it was like 3 weeks before MedFIT started. And then kind of just went back to Vegas to go ahead and stay with my family a little bit longer, as well as kind of do like a tutoring side job so that I had enough finances until the Air Force is able to pay me. Kind of starting about even before MedFIT, my roommates are awesome, honestly. They're like way smarter than me, which is a blessing in disguise, I at least think, because it's a good opportunity for me to learn. But the day before MedFIT, I have to say, was kind of nostalgic, almost in the sense that I went back through every single year that I was experiencing while I was doing pre-med, all of the hardships I had to endure, as well as all the good ups that happened during that time, to finally realize I was actually going to medical school, reflecting on all the accomplishments that I had and how honorable it felt to actually just, it sounds cheesy, but be part of this huge profession that is so awesome. I don't know the other way to describe it. Yeah, so day zero or actually yesterday, day one of MedFIT, we basically go in, we meet our teams for the first time. So I go to the University of Nevada, Reno School of Medicine, forgot to mention that. And thing we do over here that's, I don't know if it's unique to us or I think it's kind of special, I like it, is we split up into these teams of 4 that we basically are gonna stay with for the first 2 years of our time here at the medical school. And we do these things such as, team-based learning. We also are gonna do things as well as, pertaining to the practice of medicine, which I'll kind of be explaining later in my other videos. We got to meet them for the first time, or meet each other for the first time, I should say. And that was an exciting moment for me, just to kind of be surrounded by all these other individuals that definitely have likable and very similar characteristics to my own. And strangely enough, as much as I thought I was going to be missing home, since I am from Las Vegas, I felt very comfortable here. And that was kind of the first thought that occurred to me, that I'm going to like it in this place, and I think I'm really going to thrive thanks to the people that I'm surrounded with. So as far as my teammates go, I was kind of scared to kind of not get paired with my roommates because I wanted to be maybe in my comfort zone, I'm not sure. But I think it definitely worked out for the better. So the 3 team members that are on my team, honestly, these guys are awesome. I have one person on my team who actually went to UNLV with me back in Vegas. Extremely smart guy, down to earth, very generous. Other one, she's just amazing as far as motivation goes, and you could definitely tell the drive in her, so that's another good positive factor. And one's just, I think she's a secret genius. She's more on the quiet end, but we all love her, and honestly, we all love each other, what we're gonna bring to the table. So I was really excited as far as what the first 2 years of medical school are gonna be like, when we're dissecting cadavers together, working on team-based projects, that kind of thing. So it got me really excited. We also did some other team-based activities, such as little icebreakers. Played the game where one person has to describe what they're drawing, and then another person, or the other 3 people have to basically draw out what you're doing. And that was like a really fun thing for us to do at first. So, I thank UNR that they introduced teams with each other with like fun activities. Yeah, and then that was basically it. It was a great feeling to go home, finally be kind of associated with the medical school, and that was a good time. So the second day of MedFIT, so Tuesday, we basically, all I really remember is just going over our first lecture to kind of like ease us into the medical school environment. All we really talked about was anatomy from what I understood. Yeah, it was anatomy. It was basically just talking about nervous tissue, really simple stuff. Basically just as something to introduce and like soften us into medical school. Other thing we went over that day is also like nutrition initiative. So one thing that's going to be unique with UNR is they see that there needs to be a huge focus as far as nutrition goes into medicine, which I absolutely adored and was actually one of the reasons as to why I chose UNR in the first place. I believe nutrition is honestly a huge part of medicine that is really not looked at a lot, unfortunately. That Tuesday, we actually just got introduced to that, got introduced to some basic stuff as far as nutrition, diet, and health goes, just to make sure that UNR is gonna be a little bit serious about this. Wednesday, if I try to remember correctly. Yes, that's right, okay. So everybody was kind of complaining about the two lectures that we had during orientation and how sleepy they were afterwards. But the good thing is that they were still easing us in with a little bit of lectures. So it was a little bit of a warm up for our brains for what we're gonna be expecting for the first year, which I appreciated. All we really talked about, again, it was like a second lecture on anatomy, but we talked about the cardiovascular system more, so like the heart especially. And then we also got introduced to a histology lecture as well, which was, I'm sure, kind of small scale once again, but we just needed the warm up for our brains after taking a long summer break. And then at the end of the day, we actually had a mindfulness session, which I really appreciated. Personally, about me, I'm a huge fan of meditation and all of the relaxation techniques that we can implement in our lives just to make us a little bit more sane. As well as a little bit smarter, actually. I'm huge into that stuff. We kind of just had like a little mindfulness session. We did like a little mini meditation towards the end, which was really awesome because kind of made me feel like I was cared for and that the school was really going to be serious about our health, our sanity, if you want to say that, just to make sure that we don't burn out, since that's a really common thing that occurs in medical school. Oh, and then forgot to mention, like right at the beginning of the day, there's the staff members, of course, that talk with us on specific topics like professionalism, as well as kind of figuring out what your learning style is, what professions you could be interested in. So all those talks are also incorporated there as well. And it's nice to get that early on so that we don't have to be worrying about that stuff when like we're really in the heat of medical school itself. All right, Thursday, that was kind of a forgetful day, honestly, but what I do remember from there is we actually got introduced into writing about medicine. Not necessarily like writing research articles and that kind of thing, but something a little bit more interesting, which was basically opinion-based writing that really focuses on us keeping track of our thoughts. And this could be just thoughts around the practice of medicine, thoughts that we have on ourselves as far as stress management goes, those kinds of things. So that was kind of another initiative I at least thought of mindfulness practices. I think I remember them mentioning that there was actually some articles, some research stating that if for those students who are basically getting introduced to medicine, when they write about what they're feeling, what their thoughts are, that kind of thing, it really contributes to, and I would just say ultimately or overall contributes to a better physician. It really helps alleviate like the stress, just all of the craziness that's kind of happening during medical school. And so they introduced this during MedFIT to say that this was going to be a tool that really would be useful if we wanted to go ahead and de-stress, really be able to have a better learning experience so that we can go ahead and reflect on what we're learning, what we're receiving in medical school. I found that pretty fun. My only thing is I kind of had that practice beforehand, and I actually found it more useful to go ahead and talk this thing out into a voice recorder. I just find it's less time consuming, and then also I like to kind of talk things out, which is actually one of the reasons why I'm gonna start this YouTube channel. And then yeah, that was basically it. I think I mentioned that we also had a lab that day as well, so that was kind of cool getting to see the anatomy lab. If you didn't know, UNR definitely has one of the best anatomy labs across the entire country, so that was exciting to see that. Also to have a little bit of interaction with the second year students, which I forgot to mention right at the beginning. We actually all had pack mentors. All they were is they're second year students who of course have been in our shoes before, and they're gonna guide us through the entire process of the orientation, what medical school is gonna be like, and they're there to answer all of the questions that we could possibly have about medical school. Friday, we had a lab practical that day. There was a little bit more of that writing stuff that I talked about earlier. It was at the end of that week, honestly, it just felt like, how to describe this? Feelings. And now I have to revert back to my feelings of what I thought over the week, and this is the hard part. I know what I felt that day. So the biggest feeling I had that day, I would have to say, is just the amount of love I had for, and I know it sounds crazy, but the love I had for the community, and more so for the new family that I was going to be part of, and specifically, you know, that family being all of the students, and this includes, you know, first, second, third, fourth year students, and then the staff as well. I think one of the exceptional things that UNR really does, and definitely one of the main reasons why I chose this school, is just the amount of closeness that you feel. It's kind of hard to describe it, but when I moved up here, I just knew something felt right as far as me being cared for. Like I had this feeling like I belonged here, and it was really the staff and the students and just the community around me that really did a good job of making it feel that way for me. So I know this kind of isn't part of MedFIT, but I think one of the best parts too, once again tying into community relationships, or family relationships I should say, is we all went out to this place called like the Waldorf. Honestly, it's pretty damn good. All of the students basically were welcomed there by one of the second year medical students. It was part of like the staff, executive staff I should actually say. And we basically all just had time to go ahead and relax, talk to each other, get to know each other. And one of the cool parts is actually there was a lot of third year medical students who were just getting back from their clinical rotations. So we got to talk to a couple of them. Although I was supposed to go there more to probably get to know the first year students, you know, my future classmates, I actually ended up speaking to like a lot more third years and fourth years. And honestly, at that point, I felt like I knew more third years and fourth years than my classmates. But it was just interesting to get a perspective from them to see, you know, what medical school is going to be like down the road. You know, it's kind of even just little simple things like what are their interests and hobbies, and just to get to know the people who are part of the same exact medical school that you're at. Some other things ensued that night. We went to a couple of bars and stuff downtown, which honestly was an amazing time. I got to spend a little bit more time with one of my teammates. A lot of details with that night, but just say it was super awesome. All right guys, so that concludes MedFIT week 1. I hope you guys enjoyed it and that you got a lot out of it. If you guys want to, I think I'm gonna put a link down in the description below for MedFIT week 2, so stay tuned for that. That should be out hopefully soon, so peace.